Gamers and gentlefolk, hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm going to be your host, The Sound, and I am excited to bring us back to week 1 of season 21 of the Nexus Gaming series. We're going to be taking a look at a Division D series. This first series is between Beyonce Gnolls, not Beyonce Gnolls Stuns, just Beyonce Gnolls. We'll just clean that up. Beyonce Gnolls against Sugarman's Soggy Sandwich Shop. Everyone's favorite level of alliteration. This is a best-of-3 series played back in the first week of this season, so I do not know the results. If you know them, keep it to yourself, and we'll find out together. I can give a little bit of information about our two teams that we're going to be seeing duke it out. Beyonce Gnolls on the home squad. They're back to NGS after a brief hiatus. I believe we last saw them in season 15. So they took a break, but they're back at it again. So always exciting to see players returning to the league after some time away. It's always great to welcome them back. And on the other side of the battleground, we've got Sugarman's Soggy Sandwich Shop, who you may know more familiarly, that's not how you say that word, as Rooster Pizza WBP. They have been fighting under that old name for a few seasons, took a single season break there, and they are back with the Sugarman's moniker. We can head over to our battleground selection to see where we'll be headed and where we will be avoiding for this series. We had bans onto Battlefield of Eternity and Volskaya Foundry from Beyonce Gnolls, with Sugarman's Soggy Sandwich Shop banning out Alterac Pass and Towers of Doom. Pretty exciting that we're headed to Battlefield of Eternity for Game 1. The most popular battleground in NGS. It's one that we see across all divisions, and so Division D is no exception. We love fighting over Punishers. With that said, let's just get into the series and kick off Game 1. And we can introduce our teams. First, on the left in blue, we've got Beyonce Gnolls. We've got Bubinski on Hogger, ETC played by Comb, Orphea by The, Tychus played by Opiates, and Rhaegar played by Lagwagon. And to the right in red, we've got Sugarman's Soggy Sandwich Shop. Cranky Rhino playing Raynor, Kel'Thuzad with Toast Monster, Sugarman, the man himself on Dahaka, Uther played by Night Knight, and Pad-O playing Muradin. We can take a look at our level 1 talents here as our teams get set. It looks like we've got Orphea splitting off to the top lane, and we see Cranky Rhino using Inspire already. That's thanks to their level 1 talent Exterminator, giving a permanent Inspire buff to any minions and mercenaries. Comb able to slide back through Pado to safety there. Bubinski has started down on the bot side of the battleground, and we can see that is to get these Gnolls started up immediately. Or rather, the Khazra. He is a Gnoll. He is on Beyonce Gnolls. But he is fighting Khazra, which is a different race from a different IP. After that initial camp grab, I'll be interested to see if we keep The in the top lane, or if Beyonce Gnolls will send the Hogger to deal with Sugarman. On the bot side, Comb and Opiates both very low, and it's Comb's who will fall first. Cranky Rhino connecting those last couple of autos. So Sugarman's Soggy Sandwich Shop secure first blood in this bout. Little bit of an experience lead for them. We can see that is due in part to the hero takedown experience, but also because they've got more minion XP at their backs as well. Dubinsky staying busy with all of the mercenary camps on the battleground, securing the bruiser camp in top lane, and we've got Cranky Rhino and Night Knight taking care of their reciprocal camp. An early level 4 for Sugarman's. Toast Monster finds Comb in the bush there, but they're going to scoot out to safety. Up to 13 stacks on Master of the Cold Dark already. So a very fast stacking game for Toast Monster on Kel'Thuzad. Checking in on top lane, Sugarman able to grab the Shaman Summoner under the towers, so they'll be able to clear that up pretty quickly, but they're faring rather poorly against Bubinsky in the top lane. Hogger able to trade pretty aggressively into Dahaka. As the first shrine is announced in mid lane, we've got a little bit of a party bush set up, but it looks like Beyonce Gnolls skirt the worst of it. They've set up a gank of their own, perhaps. Comb going wide, but Sugarman will get out to safety. And a big first grab of objective minions from Toast Monster there. Sugarman digging in here, looks for the tongue, does not connect. Dubinsky doesn't have the infinite spin quite online. Pato able to leap out with a fraction of HP, as Murdens are wont to do. Unfortunately, ETC does not have that luxury, and so that's another takedown, 2-0 in favor of Sugarman's at this point. With the objective monsters still pretty even on both sides. Dubinsky's spinning Hogger makes it very difficult for Sugarman's to step up and contest these minions. And Kel'Thuzad very low, as is Night Knight. We're neck and neck here on the objective. Kel'Thuzad almost dead, and it's the red team that ends up securing it. Comb gets one more slide in, but they've perhaps bit off more than they can chew again. ETC falls yet again, and that is death to false metal, if I ever saw it. So, Arcane Punisher in mid lane is going to get through the gate, but not much else. Sugarman's were quite low before the objective was secured, so they couldn't support that as much as they might have liked. They were also chasing down Comb on the ETC, so they were productive, but perhaps not as much progress as they would have hoped for from the objective. Level 7s on both sides. We've got Garbage Fire for Hogger and Feeding Frenzy for Dahaka. Both pretty important talents for their damage output. Opiates has opted for Melting Point on the Tychus Grenade, so that's going to give them a little bit more PvE potential, perhaps able to sneak more of those objective monsters away. And of course, Cleanse, the all-important Cleanse for Night Knight, Hand of Protection. Purification for Lagwagon as well, so a Cleanse for Uther and a Purge upgrade for Lagwagon. Checking on our experience, we are once again trailing just a little bit for the home team. Comb finds 2 with the power slide, but no real follow-up there. Toast Monster up to 23 stacks on Master of the Cold Dark. Make it 25. So just 5 away. We've already seen them using their Icicle Spike thanks to their 15 stack reward. Glacial Spike is the name of that. Comb continues to anchor aggressively here. They've got Tychus next to him. Would love to see the slide onto the Kel'Thuzad. They target the Lich Mage, but they are down heroics, and so Opiates will fall after an immediate rip on the Frost Nova. Pato jumps in looking for the stun, but does not connect. Up to 36 stacks on their baseline quest. It's hammer time. This is last patch, so they're still looking for 50 stacks before they unlock the Pierce. Great Purge from Lagwagon will get the out of trouble there. But Toast Monster is all stacked up on Kel'Thuzad. We see the Hyperion come down, finish off the last bit of HP on the bot fort front wall, as well as tickle the fort itself. We've got heroics on both sides now, however. Hogger has opted for Hortipult. We've also got Mosh Pit, Eternal Feast, Commandeer Odin, and Ancestral Healing. We already saw the Avatar, Hyperion, and Frost Nova. We've also got Divine Storm and Isolation. A great tongue lands onto Bubinski. Another set of stuns. That was a heck of a stun train. Well played. Sugarman's setting themselves up for another easy grab on the objective. Does Sugarman still have the burrow? They do. So they'll get out to safety. The stealth granted thanks to their level 4 Lurker Strain. There's still a tower available, so I believe that means John Cena is going to jump on it before it jumps on a hero. And wrong. Here I am, being wrong. It's gates only. And Comb continues to have a rough time. Lagwagon pulling the trigger on the Ancestral Healing just a little too late. And so it's another roast cow for dinner. How many deaths are we up to? 4 for the ETC. It is a tough time for everyone's favorite Tauren Chief. Great max distance stun from Pato, but Opiates still has the ability to get behind their gate. We'll pop the Hyperion with the Mortar Punisher, dwindling down to below a quarter of HP. And that should spell the end of this push for Sugarmans. We'll see if they stick around. Comb looks for the Mosh Pit, lands it onto 2. They're able to secure their first takedown onto Pato. On the bot side, Bubinski steals away that neutral siege camp. But even so, Beyonce Gnolls trail about a full level, and therefore are down talent tier. With the power play, they're going to get aggressive. Comb and Lagwagon leading the charge towards this bruiser camp. A great hand of protection onto Cranky Rhino. Some solid body blocking from Comb, and they're going to draw the Divine Storm. Bubinski in deep with the Hortipult. Do they have the spin to escape? They do, but they take a nasty bounce. This Hogger might be done for, especially with the dig in from Sugarman. Comb turns back around to try and save the Hogger, and it costs them their life. So Hogger will escape, but ETC is going to spend a little bit more time thinking about which of the members of the Horde they will protect come next respawn. Pato getting aggressive here, finds Opiates. The rest of Sugarman's still pretty far behind. Throws out the Feast to attempt to zone the rest of Sugarman's off, assuming that they were behind the Muradin. It's a relatively short cooldown on Feast, so no real loss there. And Sugarman's continues to patrol the map. They're doing a great job applying their pressure with their advantage on the map. They've got periodic catapult pressure in top, and so that's required Hogger's response. Glacial Spike won't end up connecting here. Comb looking for another slide. They're onto Cranky Rhino here. They give up the body block position. They've gotten a little nervous about eating as much damage as they have. Sugarman, on the other hand, has continued to push down bot lane. And so most of bot fort has fallen at this point. That's where our next objective will be spawning. It's going to be a frozen Punisher. And so it's going to be a very difficult defense for Beyonce Gnolls to make. Comb able to get the solo mosh, but an excellent cleanse from Night Knight. What an escape. Night Knight doing an excellent job with the Hand of Protection there. Of course, it means it won't be available for the next objective phase, but Mosh will also be on cooldown. Otto finds Comb on the top side here. There's the Frost Nose as well. Cranky Rhino laying into them with auto attacks. Night Knight rips the Divine Storm, but in the end, Beyonce Gnolls are able to retreat and recoup. Level 13s on both sides. Sugarman's about a half level away from their level 16 talents. And we're a little bit split on the objective front. Toast Monster has already used their Glacial Spike, and Opiates steps up with the Odin. We've got the Hogger Spin going. Here comes the Eternal Feast. A couple different procs. It's pushing Sugarman's off the point. And here comes the Hyperion. We've got massive AoE on all sides. Cranky Rhino falling very low, but unfortunately it's Comb who's going to fall. Bubinski bounces out of the objective and into the bot lane towers. Does Sugarman have the drag available? They don't need it when Night Knight's got the Hammer of Justice. And so Cranky Rhino will finish off the last few objective monsters and secure the third objective for Sugarman's Soggy Sandwich Shop. Their sandwiches may be soggy, but their gameplay is tight as one could want. Doing a great job putting a lot of pressure onto Beyonce Gnolls' front line, both Bubinski and Comb in particular, feeling the full force of the Kel'Thuzad and Raynor damage. Level 16s in favor of Sugarman's Soggy Sandwich Shop. Oh, on the top side, Comb and The end up taking down Sugarman. Bubinski in deep here. They've got the slows onto Toast Monster. Comb in deep as well, but Lagwagon and Opiates are still... Oh, The caught, and that's a great takedown. Toast Monster, an absolute Kel'Thuzad master, making a lot of work out of the blue team. Augur taken down after the Ancestral gets cast, but before it procs. So a pretty decided winning position for Sugarman's Soggy Sandwich Shop. I would love to see them support this mercenary camp that they've captured in the mid lane to guarantee the mid fort goes down. Instead, they're going to get as much experience around the battleground as possible, picking up both the neutral and right-hand side siege camps. Beyonce Gnolls have secured talent tier parity now. Depending on what Comb goes for, yeah, Comb has opted for Showstopper, increasing the armor that Power Slide grants. Lagwagon caught by Pato and Night Knight. They're going to have to self-Ancestral. Cranky Rhino caught by Bubinski here. Do they have the stun? Another cleanse from Night Knight, but it's not going to be enough. And so, third takedown for Beyonce Gnolls. We'll see how much they can get out of this takedown and power play. Of course, they've got a lot of homework to deal with on the map. Bot lane is pushing in. Another combo onto Comb draws the cleanse from Lagwagon. Both supports doing an excellent job with Purge and Hand of Freedom, or Hand of Protection rather, respectively. On the top side, Bubinski's gotten through most of this, but Sugarman is in range for the invade. Night Knight stuns and stuns again. A huge 3-hero mosh. We've targeted Night Knight, but they're going to be able to survive throughout the mosh. And so it's Comb who once again meets their maker. Opiates wants this takedown onto Uther. We see the benediction. And it's Opiates who will fall. All the while, we've had a catapult shelling away on top keep. And so it will go down. Lagwagon booped by the tunneling claws of Sugarman. Do we have one more drag? Looking for the here. They'll connect the drag. Night Knight has a Hammer of Justice behind it. And the stun train from Sugarman's Sandwich Shop continues to be clean. Bubinski will hortipult in, but the core shielding is already falling. And that should do it here for Game 1. A strong showing from the red team, and that is an excellent Infernal Shrines masterclass. GG and well played. So there you have it, Game 1 in the books. Sugarman's Soggy Sandwich Shop looking very comfortable on that battleground. We can check in on our post-game stats here. And we've got Bubinski with highest hero damage in the lobby, up to 43k. Not what I would have expected, given the takedown count, as we can see, heavily favoring Sugarman's Soggy Sandwich Shop. But, of course, when you're bursting people down as quickly as they are with Toast Monsters, Kel'Thuzad, you don't necessarily do as much damage when you're getting the kills so quickly. We can take a look at our builds once again. Nothing too out of the ordinary here. Level 20s just hit as the game ended. Muradin opting for Mountain King at 20, the new level 20. And they were able to get up to 81 stacks on its hammer time, which means that they were piercing by the end there. Once again, this is a series that was played on last patch, so we're looking for 50 stacks on hammer time before it ends up piercing. So let's head back over to our battleground selection and see where we're headed for game number 2. Game 2, it looks like we're headed to Cursed Hollow. Alright, so Cursed Hollow. Excellent. Update the scoreboard and start loading in to our second replay. Excellent, excellent. For those who tuned in the middle there, welcome, happy to have you. This is a replay broadcast from week 1 of Season 21 for the Nexus Gaming Series. So we are one patch back. If you're having trouble remembering what the differences were between our current patch and the last one, you can always use !patch in chat, and that'll take you to a community-run patch notes website created by Elite Sparkle, who is just a pillar of the community, one of the major contributors to Icy Veins in the most recent years, and has been putting a lot of work into making sure that that resource remains a useful and valuable one for the community, as well as this patch notes project that they've spearheaded on their own. So huge shout out to Elite Sparkle. Can't thank you enough for all that you do. I'll be interested to see on this much larger macro-based battleground how Beyonce Gnolls adapt to Sugarman's Soggy Sandwich Shop's aggressive, CC-focused playstyle. If that's something that they pick specifically for Infernal Shrines, then Sugarman's may be able to adapt comfortably, but Beyonce Gnolls definitely found themselves a little bit on the back foot after the CC started raining in from Sugarman, so I'll be excited to see if they've got more split pushy macro stuff up their sleeve for game number 2. So let's get into the series and see how they fare. We can introduce our teams once again. Here on the left in blue, we've got Beyonce's Gnolls, Bubinski on Stitches, Falstad playing Comb, Orphea played by The, Opiates on Leoric, and Lagwagon playing Brightwing. On the right, Sugarman's Soggy Sandwich Shop, we've got Toast Monster playing Anubarak, Cranky Rhino and Kel'Thas, Sugarman on Ragnaros, Pato on Kira, and Night Knight playing Rhaegar. So a little bit of a role swap here and there. We've got the Kel'Thuzad God on Anubarak now. Our Hogger player is now our Stitches player. Comb does not want to play on the front line anymore and has opted for Falstad instead. Whole bunch of role swaps happening here. We can check our level 1 talents as well. Sugarman opting for a Shifting Meteor build at level 1. Living Meteor able to increase its duration and change directions midway through after the completion of that quest. A 4-hero rotation down to the bot lane from Sugarman's means that Opiates is going to have to play it a little safer behind their gate. Of course, Leoric, one of the more survivable offlaners, thanks to their sturdy health pool and unstoppable Wraith Walk ability. Here's that CC focus once again from Sugarman's. Night Knight using the Cleanse aggressively, the Purge I should say, as a slow, but Bubinski popped the Shambling Horror trait and so could not be slowed. Opiates getting about a half a tower there since they were unattended. And Beyonce Gnolls doing a great job keeping ahead on the experience thus far. I say that as we seem to be dropping waves in mid and top. So perhaps I spoke too soon. Yeah, Sugarman left completely unfettered here in top lane just to claim about a half tower themselves. We've got Sugarman Soggy Sandwich Shop responding to the mid lane bruiser push. They also managed to get their siege camp out, so Opiates is going to be stuck dealing with that for a time. And so it's a 4-hero commitment from Beyonce Gnolls to the top lane. Sugarman still has their Molten Core trait available, should they feel threatened. Comb up to 21 stacks on Frequent Flyer. Their first reward, I believe, coming in at the 65. Just 60 stacks. Gives them an auto attack damage boost. They're very low. I assume they've got their global available. They're able to hearth out and heal up. Hook from Bubinski does not find any of the Sugarman Soggy Sandwich Shop folks. Little bit of a XP lead for Beyonce's Gnolls, or just Beyonce Gnolls. Pato hooked in. They're able to get the revolving sweep onto Stitches. It's 5v4 in favor of Sugarman's with the Falstad dealing with the mid lane camp. The wants to step up to get a stall on Cranky Rhino, but they don't feel safe to do so. So a slightly better camp timing from Sugarman's secures them that first objective. A great hook from Bubinski, but Toast Monster's in range for the peel. The falling very low, and they're going to get taken down. First blood going over to Sugarman's Soggy Sandwich Shop. We're pretty even on experience here. That hero XP making up for a little bit of the missing minion experience. that Sugarmans are facing. Next objective, spawning in the mid lane. I guess towards the mid lane. Technically, it's the jungle, if you wanted to get, like, real persnickety about it. And who doesn't love to be persnickety? Cranky Rhino face checks. Opiates gets the slow here. There's the follow-up from Dubinsky, but none of the damage from Beyonce Gnolls were in range. Comb connects onto Cranky Rhino here. One more auto attack should do it. And that will, in fact, secure the first takedown for the blue team. Dubinsky gets the stall onto Toast Monster, and now it's 5v4 in favor of the home team. Pato in deep here. Oh no, they get dropped off in an awkward spot, and Sugarman tries to channel while their Kira player gets absolutely obliterated. Sugarman is in range for one more stall onto Lagwagon. Does Dubinsky have the hook? It won't connect. This is where the superior minion experience is going to come in handy for Beyonce Gnolls. Once they start to turn the takedowns in their favor, the missing experience from minions cannot be recovered. So that's how we see such a large gap in experience growing in favor of the home team. Falstad commits the fly to get the rest of bot wave. They're focused essentially on the heroic talent here, just 3/4 of a level away for Beyonce Gnolls. Sugarman's knows that this is their best opportunity for a pre-heroic team fight. Post Monster blind burrow charges in, means they don't have their mobility here. They're going to draw the cleanse. A great dodge from Comb from the revolving sweep of Kira. I would love to see Beyonce Gnolls in range with the to get some stalls on this objective. Looks like Sugarmans aren't going to have the opportunity to contest before heroics are in place. Speaking of heroics, we've got Blink Heal, Entomb, Eternal Feast, Gust, Mighty Gust, that is, and Forge. Beyonce Gnolls will take this opportunity to secure their boss. With boss rolling in bot lane, they're going to be able to rotate up to Sugarman's and contest if they so choose. There's the fly from Falstad up to top lane. Sugarman's, they've made a lot of progress, although already halfway through the boss. I don't know if Beyonce Gnolls are going to make it in time. Comb stunned out. Oh, will the Falstad live? Falstad's living. And the boss still low. Oh, but there's the heroic, and they lose Falstad. No Mighty Gust. Cranky Rhino caught in the Entomb. They're going to make it out to safety. A Gorge onto Sugarman. There's a great cleanse from... Oh, no. Pato caught nonetheless. And with those two takedowns, Sugarman's are on the back foot. Beyonce Gnolls starting up this boss seems like a ambitious choice. There's still a few heroics available. Lagwagon caught in an awkward spot. Do they have a blink heal? They do not. Of course, on the bot lane, this boss has continued to push and secures a fort. Dubinsky, do they have a stall? They'll get one on Night Knight. Comb comes back in. They've got a lot of damage on the Cranky Rhino. Cranky Rhino out of mana as well. Opiates in deep, connected with the Drain Hope. 3 hero Entomb, but the rest of Beyonce Gnolls in full retreat. They don't have any sustain, but Lagwagon's returned. Sugarman just out of reach of the hook from Dubinsky. And so it looks like we're 2-2 on tributes. Of course, Beyonce Gnolls are in the lead on the map thus far. There's the Hook Gorge on to Night Knight. There's a lot of summons, but Rhaegar will fall nonetheless. A great hook. Bubinski becoming a real menace on the Stitches, and that's level 13. Bubinski all the more threatening now that Fishing Hook is online. We heard the fly, but it looks like Comb opts to interrupt and stick around to play for the topside boss. Next objective is spawning in the next 15 seconds. Beyonce Gnolls will be able to fly down there if Sugarman's tried for a quick cap, but it looks like they're not going to. But Sugarman's Soggy Sandwich Shop are in a better position to secure this objective. Okay, here comes the fly from Comb. Comb, you there, bud? Okay, yeah, Comb's around. Comb gets the interrupt. So they're up a talent tier. They've got a boss going. This is a great position for Beyonce Gnolls. And it looks like Sugarman's are going to opt to give. They send the lava wave up top to try and soften some of that push from the boss, while Beyonce Gnolls focus heavily on bot lane. Opiates pushing in mid lane. They're going to be able to punch through much of that fort front wall. Sugarman trying to dissuade Beyonce Gnolls from the worst of their pushing. Toast Monster in deep. There's the slow from Bubinski. Do they have the interrupt on the Molten Court? They do not. Toast Monster does not have Burrow Charge available, and those are the auto attacks required. Comb has percent damage based auto attacks at this point, thanks to their level 13 talent. Sustained wins. And the boss finally falls in top lane, so no keep secured, but mid fort goes down, bot keep wall goes down, and a tower in top. So it's a healthy experience lead for the Gnolls. They've got more hero takedowns, they've got more mercenaries. They're lagging on minion XP because of their 4-hero commitment to the bot lane on that push, but it opened up a little bit of a win condition for them. So hard to fault them, especially when they're already up so far on experience. They're a full talent tier ahead. It's a big power spike for Bubinski on Stitches getting Pulverizer, so the slow from Slam affecting everybody in the area and reducing armor. This is also where Opiates starts to stack up and get even scarier with the auto attack build. Leoric we're at a bit of a standstill. Sugarman's just around the corner from their level 16s. They'll secure it here off midwave. And seeing how aggressive they've been thus far in the series, I wouldn't be surprised to see him beeline it for the boss. They'll do just that. Of course, Beyonce Gnolls have a little bit of lane pressure in top lane. None of the Gnolls have scouted this rotation. Opiates and Comb cut off. There's the web wrap cocoon onto Bubinski. Bubinski taking a lot of damage, a great gust, and the phase shift comes in. Lagwagon, oh no, Lagwagon's gonna die to living bomb. Unlucky. And they don't have gust to contest here. Sugarman's have left top lane unattended. There's a lot of push happening there. Someone check this bush, please. Someone check this bush. Beyonce Gnolls have stepped up once again. Here's the hook gorge onto the Stitches. I believe Stitches still are from the Stitches onto the Anubarak. They have the burrow charge, but once again, it's the pulverize that we see from the level 16 that makes all the difference there. Much of Anubarak's effective HP comes from Spell Shield. So, or Spell Armor, I should say. So when you reduce armor, that ends up removing a lot of the bug's survivability. Strong showing. In mid lane, Opiates falls to Night Knight and Cranky Rhino. We're opting to send boss during the curse, which is a little surprising to me. Bot fort and mid fort taking a fair bit of damage as a result. We can just see these minions shelling away, and minions do triple damage to structures, if you did not know. So this wave of archer minions doing about as much damage as a human form Greymane with Inner Beast active. There's the Gust, a bit of an anti-synergy there. Toast Monster gets the double stun, Ancestral Healing comes out, a huge Entomb. Opiates and The getting a lot of damage done there. Toast Monster in a lot of trouble. The will fall to the Pyroblast, but in the end it's still 2-for-1 in favor of Beyonce Gnolls. We saw every heroic, and the bot boss is going to secure the first keep of the game. Beyonce Gnolls not necessarily always coming out on top on the team fights, but they are running the map a lot more smoothly than Sugarman's Soggy Sandwich Shop. Sugarman's definitely seems like a team fight oriented group, and so it's definitely a little bit trickier for them to find their footing on this larger macro based battleground. And of course, Beyonce Gnolls have been winning a fair number of fights as well, so the role swaps looks like they've been panning out for them. We've got the completion on the level 1 quest for Ragnaros. Sugarman now able to... Oh, Night Knight! There's the Hook Gorge! Oh no! I don't think Rhaegar makes it out of this one alive. He doesn't have Ancestral. Night Knight will fall. A huge stun from Pato, but now their mobility is all used up. Yubinski and friends likely to take this Kira down. And there she goes. Alright. Boss down to about half HP. The keep not faring quite as well. And though Sugarman's Soggy Sandwich Shop have a potent set of heroes for attacking their enemies, they don't have as much sustain as I think they grew accustomed to with the beefier health pools they were working with last game. Anubarak and Ragnaros both a lot squishier than Muradin and Dahaka from game 1. So a second keep and Storm Talents means that Beyonce Gnolls are in a commanding lead. I'd love to see them group up in mid lane, maybe work on the mid keep as well if they're a little scared to step under Core. Given the minus armor that Core gives, not just because of the call for help that Cursed Hollow always has had, but also just the minus 40 that structures now give, it is exceptionally difficult to try and push to Core without a healthy minion wave at your back. But they did kind of squander their Storm Talent tier advantage. Sugarman's Soggy Sandwich Shop setting up a bit of a party bush here. Oh, but Yubinski! What a play! Oh man, what a great play. And the freaking gust into the Eternal Feast. What a wombo combo. Holy cow, Beyonce Gnolls, you're looking like hot fire. Well played, you guys. Excellent. First grab from Yubinski. They knew what was happening. They knew that Sugarman's needed to set up an ambush, and where best to set it up if not out of vision in a bush. A great interrupt! Oh no, that is the Stitches difference right there. All right, that should be GG in favor of Sugarman's. A lone Anubarak, unlikely to secure the 1v5 defense here. A giant stun helps. The falling very low. But in the end, they've got an auto-attack Leoric connected with the core, an auto-attack Falstad connected with the core. That'll do it for Game 2. GG and well played. We are headed to Game 3 in the series. Excellent showing for both of our teams. Awesome. Very cool. Love to see teams turning it around. And Beyonce Gnolls, after a somewhat difficult showing in Game 1, made their presence known on Cursed Hollow. The top of the lobby for hero damage with 41,000, though Pato not far behind with 39 themselves. Sugarman, of course, with the Lava Wave Ragnaros, always going to get top XP, but unfortunately the takedowns ended up not going in Sugarman's Soggy Sandwich Shop's favor this time round. And so Beyonce Gnolls, with a superior set of rotations around the map and a couple winning team fights, end up taking Game 2. Alrighty, let's update the scoreboard and see where we'll head for game number 3. For those of you who tuned in midway through Game 2, welcome, happy to have you. This is a replayed broadcast from Week 1 of the Nexus Gaming Series in Division D, with Beyonce Gnolls taking on Sugarman's Soggy Sandwich Shop. And for Game 3, it looks like we're headed to Tomb of the Spider Queen. Very cool. So back to a much tighter rotation-based battleground, one that can reward those decisive engages that we saw out of Sugarman's Soggy Sandwich Shop in game number 1. With that said, it's also a very strong battleground for Stitches. If Sugarman's let Stitches through, I don't know if they did. I don't know if I would have. Because, man oh man, that looked pretty strong. I'm realizing that this looks a little funky. We'll just do a little bit of... There we go. Excellent. Much better. Yeah. Really strong showing from Beyonce Gnolls in Game 2, but I don't know if they're going to have what they need for our third game. It's wave clear centric, which I think they've been doing a good job drafting adequate levels of wave clear, but I do fear for the stun trains that we've seen out of Sugarman's Soggy Sandwich Shop. Sugarman's, especially if they get access to the Kel'Thuzad again. Toast Monster on Kel'Thuzad in Game 1 put on a masterclass for the Master of the Cold Dark. Getting it stacked up very quickly and really punishing the softer front line of Beyonce Gnolls. Gotta wait for my client to do a phantom update in the background, and then we should be able to load into game number 3 here. We are into the third week of the season for Season 21. There's still a lot of NGS left to play across all divisions. So, speaking of, I've got a broadcast tonight, live. Who is it again? It's Little Buff Boys against... Citrus Colored Squash. So that's going to be tonight at 9 Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. So be sure to tune in. It's always great to have people come out and cheer for teams. I know replay broadcasting time can be a little awkward middle of the day, but most of us will be available come game time this evening, and it would be great to have folks come and cheer those two squads on. Viril in chat mentioning they'll be at work by then. Unlucky evening worked. Especially because it's one of the CCS squads. So getting to cheer on the inter-org dynamic. But like, you know, you could always try logging in. That's so peculiar. Ah, I understand what's happening. The reason it's taking so long to launch this replay, dear viewers, is because A, Sugarman's Soggy Sandwich Shop has such a long team name that you have to restructure the files as downloaded from NGS's website, because the length of the file name breaks the file structure within Windows. And then, for whatever reason, this is a problem that I've run into at least twice now on my machine. The file extension for replay files is .stormreplay with a capital S and a capital R. But for some reason, when I've downloaded replays recently, the file extension has been with a lowercase s, which the game knows to launch, but it doesn't know what it is. So like, it'll launch HOTS if you double click on an old replay file. It'll open up the hero switcher and launch HOTS, but it will not open the replay file because the lowercase s storm replay is not a legitimate file extension. And I don't know why my machine, I don't know if it was how it got downloaded from the website or if it's something going on my PC locally, but it's a weird situation. But it looks like we should be actually making progress here. That's positive. We'll double check that teams are on the right side again, and all of our other concerns are met. And so they are. So let's get into game number third game of the series, the deciding game. And we can introduce our teams for the final time. On the left in blue, we have Beyonce Gnolls, Bubinski on Johanna, Combe playing Hanzo, The on Orphea, Opiates playing Leoric, and Lagwagon on Brightwing. To the right in red, Sugarman Soggy Sandwich Shop, we've got Cranky Rhino playing Raynor, Toast Monster on Kalthas, Pato playing Murden, Night Knight on Stukov, and Sugarman playing Gazlo. Important to note, once again, that this is the previous patch before the reduction of the Hammer Time quest requirements for Murden. So Murden's going to have to get 50 stacks of Hammer Time before they can pierce targets. Level 1 talents. We've got Redemption for Combe. Very interesting. We've also got Fetid Touch for Stukov and Mana Addict for Toast Monster. Already up to 2 stacks on Mana Addict, so not a bad start. Make it 4. So, red team doing an excellent job securing globes. An early emphasis on the bruiser camp for Beyonce Gnolls means that they'll be able to get a little bit of a push here in mid lane. Of course, Sugarman's Soggy Sandwich Shop are able to get through this bruiser camp very effectively themselves thanks to Cranky Rhino's level 1 Exterminator. And it looks like Beyonce Gnolls are opting not to push with the spell armor. Instead, trying to get a gank on Toastmonster and Pato in the top lane. Even unsupported, the bruiser camp got through about half of the front wall here between both towers and the gate. And Beyonce Gnolls were able to get a little bit of their booty turned in. It's not black hearts, but it's still booty, right? Thinking about making the aggressive rotation here, they'll throw a little bit of damage onto Pato's Muradin. But with the biggest wave clear threat zoned off towards the top lane, Sugarman's is getting a heck of a lot done with this mid lane push. Yubinski all but at this point. I actually don't even know what Fetid Touch does. Cooldown reduction on Rated Pustule. Alright, fair enough. Oh, Comb. They're able to escape with the natural agility. Draws the cleanse from Lagwagon. But they'll have it back up relatively quickly thanks to their level 4 Magic Spit. Auto attacks, reducing the cooldown of the cleanse. A few more gems in Sugarman's Soggy Sandwich Shop's pockets, thanks to how well they've been zoning the rest of Beyonce Gnolls off of the waves. Stormbolt goes wide. Buinski unable to get the turn in. Not sure if that was a self-interrupt, but those 11 gems were, I thought, all but in. Hanzo's completed their level 1. It's a big power spike once Redemption is complete. Turns Hanzo into one of the hardest hitting auto attackers in the game, if not the hardest hitting. At a very safe range as well. We've got teams turning in around each other, but Sugarman has been able to sneak more of theirs in than Opiates, and so Sugarman's Soggy Sandwich Shop secured the first Webweaver of the game, with both teams picking up level 7s. Looks like it's going to be a 4-hero commitment to top lane from the Soggy Sandwich Shop folks. Beyonce Gnolls doing a great job prepping mid lane. So that Webweaver's going to spawn pretty far back. With Comb opting for Ignore All Distractions 4, they don't necessarily have the best clear on the objective. They can one-shot minions, but the extra damage from explosive arrows at 4 really makes a difference when clearing up anything that isn't a minion. Oh, first blood going over to Sugarman's. All the while, Sugarman themselves secures mid-fort. So this is a healthy wave still behind our red team. I wouldn't be surprised to see a double fort play off of the first objective. A absolutely massive push in the grand scheme of things. Definitely far more than one would expect from the first objective. And a very early completion on Mana Addict for Toastmonster. About 3/4 of a level lead for Sugarman's Soggy Sandwich Shop. They're getting close to heroics at this point. And Beyonce Gnolls are struggling to find an opportunity for Opiates to get their 35 gems turned in. They won't be able to drop all of them off, of course, but getting more of their gems off of the Leoric, I think, would make them feel a lot more comfortable. Opiates has made a out-of-vision rotation to the bot lane. We've got heroics for Sugarman's Soggy Sandwich Shop. It's Hyperion, Pyroblast, Avatar, Robo-Goblin, and Flailing Swipes. A bit surprised to see Robo-Gobo. Here are heroics for Beyonce Gnolls. Bubinski in a great position. There's the stun onto Night Knight. Night Knight absolutely destroyed in this feast. What a huge Living Bomb spread. Oh no. Hanzo will fall. Opiates makes the rotation ahead of Sugarman, but unfortunately, with their Hanzo out of the fight, Beyonce Gnolls don't feel comfortable pressing the issue. We saw 3 different heroics fly there between the Dragon's Arrow, Blessed Shield, and Eternal Feast. Beyonce Gnolls still have Entomb available to them, and of course Lagwagon holding on to 2 charges of Link Heal. This is where losing both top and mid forts makes it really challenging for the Gnolls. They don't have as much safety to fall back to and heal back up when being shoved off of these pay stations. They've also got the passive pressure pushing into them, so it's harder to control lanes. They don't know that, oh, a huge combo in mid. Red Web Weavers will descend, but it's going to be 5v3 in favor of the Gnolls in the meantime. Should give them a relatively comfortable defense. Dubinsky falling down to about half HP. Opiates now the target. Toast Monster throwing in as much damage as they can. Opiates will likely fall here. Pato pops the Avatar, but it looks like Leoric will escape. Hyperion available once again. I'd expect to see Cranky Rhino throw it down mid lane once they've arrived to support the push on mid keep. Try and zone off the Gnolls as much as possible and take advantage of the Yamato cannon damage on structures. One of the more efficient uses of the heroic. Sugarman used their Unstoppable, and so they're going to get caught in the feast here. Oh man, another Pyroblast, this time onto Comb. Comb will fall. Level 13 advantage for Sugarman's Soggy Sandwich Shop. Very interesting, Toast Monster opting for Fission Bomb. So larger explosions that pairs nicely with Sun King's Fury at level 7. And we could see Master of Flames at level 20 to cap off that Living Bomb focused build, if they so chose. Bot Fort survived the objective push. Midkeep not as lucky. And with Beyonce Gnolls having to tend to the mid and top lanes, Sugarman's Soggy Sandwich Shop will secure another all-important structure. Bot Fort going down. All of the outer structures for Beyonce Gnolls now missing. Dubinsky, they've got another great rotation. Do they have the... Oh, the Blessed was a little late. Pato in deep. The rest of Sugarman's in retreat. Comb falling low, but I don't know if the Murden's going to survive. One more auto attack from the Leoric might do it. Unfortunately, they're unable to connect. And so after heroics fly on all sides, Beyonce Gnolls unable to secure any takedown. Opiates falls once again to an excellent combo from Toast Monster. Beyonce Gnolls are going to have to clean up bot lane. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Sugarman Soggy Sandwich Shop push out these waves and head towards boss. Looks like they're not going to make it in time, so Beyonce Gnolls shut that opportunity down with an early turn-in. Opiates will be spawning here, so it's 5v5 once again. We're even talent tier for the time being. But 16's just around the corner for Sugarman's. There's the Blessed Shield. A little bit too far for the rest of Beyonce Gnolls to follow up. And with that engagement opportunity yielding nothing, Beyonce Gnolls are going to have to play this objective phase a little more passively than I think they would like to. Pato caught in the Entomb. Great Dragon's Arrow. Pato's falling low here. Lagwagon down below half HP. Looks like they're going to be able to escape with their life. Muradin, one of the more survivable heroes. Not only thanks to Avatar and their healing from Bronzebeard's Rage, but also the auto attack speed slow from Imposing Presence at 16. Really mitigating a lot of the damage that Hanzo can put out with their basic attack focused build. Of course, Sugarman's is shown heavily on the bot side. Beyonce Gnolls looks like they're happy to just debate the boss. Toast Monster's no dummy. They'll check it. They know that they're not doing it. They've got the opportunity to turn in here. And Beyonce Gnolls are getting surrounded here. They're getting wrapped on. This is a rough spot for the home team. There's the Entomb. Lands onto 3. Unstoppable Sugarman catches the Dragon's Arrow. Cranky Rhino falling low, but Lagwagon on the left side of the fight falling low as well. Buvinsky, there's the Gravity Lapse. One more stun from Muradin will secure it. And they lose their front line right as the red team Webweavers descend. There are catapults mounting in mid lane. This is challenging. Comb slowed thanks to the Imposing Presence. They've got mounted archery. So, in your face, Pyroblast pickers. Lagwagon narrowly escaping there. I don't think the game will survive, however. The core not going to fare as well as Brightwing and Hanzo. And so that'll do it. Third game of the series going in favor of Sugarman Soggy Sandwich Shop. GG and well played to our red team. So there you have it. 3-game series back from week 1 in Division D. We can check out our post-game stats to see exactly how it all went down. I think this is the first game of the series where the winning team has the top damage player. So Toast Monster able to secure top damage on Kael'thas. Takedowns, very low takedown game. Very disciplined play from both teams. But in the end, Sugarman Soggy Sandwich Shop were able to apply a lot more map pressure with the Exterminator Rainer. Beyonce Gnolls lacking a little bit of wave clear and a little bit of safety. And so they got zoned off a lot more than I think they would have liked to. And that final boss gambit did not pay off for them. Getting surrounded by the Sugarman Soggy Sandwich Shop squad. We can take a look at our builds as well. And that will do it for the series. What time is it? 5 o'clock? Oh, we gotta update the scoreboard, of course, of course. That's another win for Sugarman's. All right, 5 o'clock. I think that means I'm gonna have to call it for replay broadcasts. I will be live again this evening at 9 o'clock. We've got Little Buff Boys taking on Citrus Colored Squash, so feel free to tune back in then. And thank you all for tuning in for the midday replay broadcast. Always a pleasure to have people show up and cheer these teams on. A big shout out to both teams for an excellent played series. I hope their season continues to go well. And we'll give some last shout outs before I go. First to the NGS staff. They're all volunteers, and we wouldn't be able to participate in the league without their hard work, so big thank you to them. And last but not least, a huge shout out to all of the musicians, artists, and programmers whose work I feature here on the stream. It wouldn't look or sound anywhere near as good without their contributions. You can find links to all of their work below or coming up on the credit roll once I sign out. Please do go check out their work. It's all Creative Commons licensed or open source material, so if you've heard or seen anything that you enjoyed today, then it could be in your next project as well. Until next time, friends, good luck and have fun out there. Peace and love.